Welcome to the Supernatural Encounter, where the natural meets with the supernatural.
Feel the rhythm in the night sky glow, where the unseen moves and the stories flow. Mysteries whisper like the wind that blows.
Dr. Frank C. Benjamin and Victoria Franklin are your guides to the world of the supernatural. It's never a dull moment, from haunted houses to miraculous. We uncover the mysteries that defy explanation, ready to question your reality. Tune in to the Supernatural Encounter. Subscribe now and step into the unknown.
Supernatural encounter, don't delay. Feel the vibe, let it guide your way. Tonight's the night, let the mystery play.
Let's dive in to the Supernatural Encounter.
You're welcome, man of God. Yeah, welcome you viewers to another wonderful episode of Encounter. We are reaching you from Queens here in New York. We are not recording from Houston, Texas. There's a man of God we are going to talk to this evening. I've known him for years, if not 15 or 10 years ago, right? When you were still a young boy, very small there, yes. And his name is Prophet Ezeji. He's somebody I know very well, and I know what he has passed through in life to become a minister. For a young boy, well talented, well educated, to leave everything and say, I'm going to serve God. It is not easy. We're going to discuss his encounter in life so that the youths of today will learn lessons. And welcome to Supernatural Encounter. Yes. I'll start my question by asking you, what is your encounter with Christ? How did you grow up as a person, and how did you meet with the Lord Jesus Christ?
So I was basically born and raised in the church. I can actually count on two hands how many Sundays I've missed.
Wow.
My mother and father were from day one very committed in every ministry that they found themselves in. But of course, as a young man, there comes a time where you have to find God for yourself. Mm-hmm. So although I was in the church, I was reckless. I wasn't saved, I didn't know the Lord. But there's this strange thing where you're in church, you know how church works, and so but you're not saved, but there's a pride in you. So somehow it can feel as if it's even harder for you to submit yourself to the Lord. Because I remember one time I was in school, and there was a fellowship of people that were preaching, and they were packed. And I said, look at these guys, I know more than mind you, I'm not even saved. I know more than these guys. And so it was bad because it came to a point where I was giving everybody headaches. I was raised in America as well, so I joined the gang. My dad said, this guy, he's if we don't do something, he'll get too bad. So what my dad did was he said, okay, you're going to go to Nigeria for 2 years. And so he this was my 8th and 9th grade. He sent me there. I went into Nigeria. I calmed down. It's a different kind of lifestyle. I enjoyed the experience. So when I came back, I wasn't wild and reckless, but I still wasn't saved. But by the time I came back, now my mother and father had started a church, which is different. And so we're going to the church, but I was still living how I wanted to live. Until one day my dad came to me. I remember this day so clearly because it was a day that I was going to go to the store with my cousins. So my dad came to me. He gave me a note. He said, go and listen to this preacher. And it was a young preacher. I think at that time that preacher should have been maybe 25. And I think one of the things that hindered me from taking God seriously was that, I don't know if it's just here in the US, but I didn't see any young people genuinely on fire for God. What I saw was a lot of young people just forced to be in church because their mother and father are coming to church, or devoted, or consistent as well. So even when we come to church and gather, we talk about nonsense and etc. And so I never really, I don't think before that time, I can't say that I ever saw a young man powerful, on fire for God, moving in the gifts of God. And so my dad gave me his name. And so I said, okay, I put the paper in my pocket. And so me and my cousins went to the store. And the funny thing is that day we went to the store, that's the day we even chose to steal stuff.
Wow.
So what we do, we would go to the store, and then we would steal socks and shirts, and we just wear it. We would double up. And so after I finished all my stealing, I came home. I said, let me listen to this guy. Then my dad, so I listened to this guy. I said, oh, who's this guy? Young.
And you're not even stealing those things because you needed them.
Yeah,
just to be, mischievous.
Just to be mischievous. And so by the time I took all that stuff, we got away with it. Came out, let me hear this guy. I looked him up online. I said, okay, the guy is he was a young man of God. He was American, but he was moving in the gifts. And I think as well, that's something that I didn't really see at that point as well.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you see a flash of who you are, you look at someone, and maybe God put something in that person that is like what's in you.
Like what's in you.
That thing can wake you up more than your parents who've been dragging you to church.
Yeah, forcing you.
Yeah. And so when I saw this thing moving, I said, no, this is different. So as I keep listening to the guy, and for some reason there's something swelling up within me. There's a fire burning within me. And that exact day that I actually got saved, but I don't know, I have to ask you if it's saved, because I was speaking in tongues at that time. So when I went to Nigeria, I got filled with the Holy Spirit. But when I came out, I was living, so maybe let me say rededicated. Living however. And so that particular day, my dad was actually in Houston for our conference.
Okay.
When he was in Houston for this conference, we had a prayer service in the church. And so I had to go and drive my mom to the service. And she would go and do prayer and whatnot. And so I'm listening. No one knows what's happening inside of me. So I'm listening to this guy in the headphones. He's preaching. And while I'm driving, so as we're getting closer to the church, it's like tears are coming up. And I'm trying to hold it the best I can. My mom is sitting in the passages and she doesn't know what's going on. I'm holding these tears. By the time we get in the church, she goes and begins to lead the prayer. It's actually, I think, only me and her there, but she's leading the prayer faithfully. But she doesn't even know where I am. I'm on the floor. And you've been to that church.
Yes,
I was all the way in the back,
okay.
on the floor. So she wouldn't even see
the church
me.
is somewhere there now, right? You have moved?
The building's there, but we've moved.
Okay.
So I was on the floor, and I'm sure maybe she just thought that I was just doing my own thing again. But I was on the floor and I was crying. I cried for that whole 2 hours. I don't know what it was. I cried for 2 hours. And I can say, when I got up from that place, I got up from that floor, my life was different. My life was different. It was very different than, because before I've gone to church, I've been up and down, but when you're saved, you're
That
saved.
encounter, yes, you know that this is different.
Yeah. So no matter what has happened, I know that when I got up from that place, and that was shortly before I met you, actually.
Okay.
So I think we met maybe later that year, or
I think we met 2014, right? Yeah, we met 2014.
Was it that early? 2014?
That was 2014 I met.
Yeah, I think it was around.
Yeah, that was when I came to New Jersey.
Yeah.
I was in New Jersey 2014. I left December 2014 to Houston. Yes.
Yeah, that was right around that time.
Okay.
Right. And so I got up from there. And so what happened was, after that experience, there was just a burning desire in me. Any sermon I can find, I'll listen to. Any book I can read. Any, every Bible I was devouring. It was interesting. And one thing specific that happened was that all of a sudden I began to have a prompting to fast.
Okay.
Prior to this time, I never fasted anything more than 3 days consecutively.
Okay.
More than 2 days, actually.
Okay.
All of a sudden, it was a Friday evening. I got such a prompting and a passion to fast. I started the fast on Monday. I went 40 days but no
Wow.
food.
Wow.
Yeah. 40 days, no food, only water. And then maybe at nighttime, if it was a very busy day, I'll take small apple juice, and at nighttime I'll do herbal tea.
Okay.
So everyone was looking at me. They said, "What's going on with Ugo?" I look like a cancer patient. You see me, I look like a bubble. My head was so big, but no one could understand because there was no other context of someone being that radical in the environment. You know, and so it was during that time of prayer and fasting that the Lord actually pushed me into the expression and the manifestation of the grace and gift of God upon my life. Yeah. It was during that time I casted out my first demon. During that time I began to see the move of God in a spectacular way. Yeah. So my life has just been one thing after the other, just moving on with the Lord since then.
Wow. That's wonderful. What is your take about the activities of the false prophets in today's society?
Okay. I think there's a few things that we have to take into consideration.
Okay.
When we say society, I think when we're dealing with false prophets, they're regional. So how they function is often going to be determined by the culture. Okay. So the culture, because here in the U.S., I usually travel amongst and I preach for blacks and whites. Okay. I rarely even preach for Africans. Okay. So I'm very entrenched in the culture here. Okay. And I see that the operation of false prophets here are slightly different from the ones that we know over there. Right? And so I think a part of it is societal and a part of it is culture. They have to learn and know how to present themselves in a way that's pleasant to the people in the society. Because this is what happens if you have a Christian that has not grown to the point of making the Word of God, the standard of God, something that supersedes or superimposes itself upon the cultural norm, upon the societal norms, then they're likely to be deceived and taken away by the flesh. For me, I know people like to focus on the false prophet. The Bible says that they're the ones that gathered the false prophet to themselves. So it's not that it's too many false prophets, it's that it's many more believers that are not properly equipped, taught, and know how to discern. I think one of the major drawn points that false prophets used to draw people is idolatry. When the believer gets saved, and the way they get saved is a way that they're not taught that in this Christian life you're going to sacrifice. In this Christian life you're going to suffer. In this Christian life there may be for the sake of Christ, you're liable to lose many things. Right? If they're not saved in that way, or if they're saved and they're not taught that, what happens is that a false prophet will come and begin to just say, okay, I know it's popular and I'm sure you've heard before, as long as you can connect with me, you're okay. You don't have to do anything else. They'll present a type of Christianity to them that absolves them of their responsibility and their own dealings with God.
A type of Christianity that will absolve them of their responsibility.
Of their own responsibility. So now they just go to church not because they even want to hear the word to be changed. They go to church so that after the guy finished teaching the false doctrine, he can now prophesy to them and say, I see you, you're going to have a house, you're going to have this, you're going to have this. And they go back. And if you notice, a lot of people in those systems, they'll stay there, but there's no genuine transformation in their own life.
In their life.
Yeah. In their life. There's nothing you can look at them and say, this person is growing from faith to faith, from wisdom to wisdom, from confidence in God to confidence. No. I'll give you a good example. There are some people, I remember this one lady, this young girl, reached out to me and I led her to the Lord. But she was working in a bar. Okay. Was it a bar or a strip club? Okay. I don't think she was the one doing the dancing, but I think she was working there. And I told her, now that you've given your life to Christ, let's not wait. I said, you have to leave that place. That place. She said, I don't know, how am I going to pay my bills? And I said, if you are able to honor God in this capacity, He's going to take care of you. In faith, she left that place, By the next week, she had a new job.
Wow.
But see, those kind of experiences and that kind of doctrine is easier when the believer is young in faith, because they're willing to do anything. You know, and anything you say, do, leave my father's house, leave whatever they have to do, they'll do it.
They will do it because they want to please God.
Yes. And so if you catch someone like that, many years later, if they continue, it'll be very difficult for them to be drawn by a false prophet. So a lot of it is idolatry. Whether they're looking for money, whether there's a need that they need met so badly that anywhere they can go to get it, they'll go get it. It's idolatry. And so they're unwilling to submit themselves to God. Because sometimes God will say, wait. Sometimes God will say, be patient. Sometimes God will allow you to cry a little bit, right? But when people just look for quick solution, they're liable to enter into the hands of false prophets.
Let me ask you a question. Let me just give you this scenario. There was an encounter I had with a false prophet. I was back home in Nigeria. The first day I met this guy, I never liked him. But somehow, some way, he talked me into allowing him to come and preach in my church. From the day he preached in that church until I was transferred out of that place, there was problem. Now, how can we recognize these people, or rather, how can we run away from them? Because they know what they want, and they will persuade you, they will push you, in fact, they will offer you so many things. Do you understand? What can you really do as a child of God? I'm talking about pastors now, not members, to avoid these people, not to be like them.
I think for the pastor, the first thing is your own personal consecration.
Okay.
Right. You have to be firm in your standards.
Okay.
What do you believe is right? What do you believe is wrong according to the Word of God?
Okay.
Right. Also, you have to keep in check ambition.
Ambition. What is your motive for the ministry?
What is your motive for the ministry?
Okay.
This is one of the main things that causes all kinds of ungodly connections and people to be deceived. It's happening here in the U.S. In the U.S. here, what we have is a lot of white men who are pastors. They even go into the false prophets in Nigeria, false prophets in Africa. So go and get something. And when they come back, and this is not a joke, these white men, they'll have a thicker accent than you. Yeah. It's one of the strangest things I've seen. They'll go back to that place, maybe that guy will give them what are they looking for? They watch it online, they don't understand the depth of the spiritual realm, right? So they watch it online, they say that this guy has a big platform, a big place, he's going and preaching and see miracles, most of which are staged and etc.
Yeah.
And so now they just fly over there. Ambition. Too quick to move without sitting down and asking the Lord, should I go here? Should I bring this person in? And also, this is one of the reasons it's good to have a body where even sometimes before you bring someone in, you ask around. You know, for me personally, if someone is trying to beg their way into my platform, for me that's a red flag.
That's a red flag already.
Because even if that person isn't false, it may mean that they don't have the right intentions, or there's a thing of greed or pride or ambition, and so you don't want to expose your people to that kind of thing as well, right? And so we need to have firm convictions. We need to say this is what we believe in, and we need to be patient. You can't rush. Because sometimes the truth is that it takes a while to discern. Someone can preach what seems like the right doctrine,
okay,
but it doesn't mean that they're preaching from the right spirit.
They might preach what it seems like the right doctrine, but from the wrong spirit.
Yes, from the wrong spirit. They may say something that sounds good, and the funny thing is, maybe they're saying something that you say. Let's say, and this happens, because you know, as preachers, sometimes we're rejected, we're ostracized, and so we have to make sure that if we're preaching something that we know is hard and people aren't going to receive it, just because someone else is preaching that same thing doesn't automatically mean that now they should be our best friend. Because sometimes that rejection will push you to someone who will come to accept you. And what you're getting is that validation, or this person understands me.
Okay.
Not knowing that it's the enemy attempting to connect you with someone who may defile you in the future. You know, and so there's a lot that goes into it, but I think primarily we need to be a people of discernment, a people of prayer as a leader. You need to take, I always tell preachers, take the work seriously. Take it seriously. Because when you take it seriously, you'll do your due diligence before even bringing someone in. You know, you'll be sure to make sure you're praying, make sure you're fasting, make sure you're seeking God, make sure you're asking God before you just bring someone.
Have you ever had any encounter with any of these false prophets?
I've had one. It was a guy back in those years where Periscope was popular. Periscope was like an app. You know Periscope?
9 months.
It was an app that was popular around, let's say, 2014, 15, no, 16, 17.
Okay.
A lot of preachers got on it. So a lot of the big name preachers in the U.S. today, that's how they got their platform.
Okay.
And so I was on it, had a few friends on it. Then there was this young man that was on it as well. And when all of us got on, he was normal. He preached normal, nothing too crazy. But I literally was able to watch the destruction of this guy. From being someone who we thought was sincere and genuine to becoming a cultist leader.
Wow.
The guy literally, right now, he's a cult leader. The guy has multiple women, multiple wives around him. Yeah, and he cusses when he you know what he calls himself. He tells his follower, he said, "I'm your King Jesus in the flesh." That's what he says.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said. So while he was going down that, we reached out to him because we were hearing some stuff. I said, "Bro, this is not the gospel. This is not the truth."
This is not it.
You know, but he hardened his heart. He blocked all of us, and then he just went on with his deception. You know, so there are quite a few of them. I had an experience recently. A young man came to me because this is what they're doing in America now.
Okay.
If there's one false prophet that's very popular, I'm sure you know him here in the U.S. But what they'll do is that they'll find young preachers, young men, even younger than me. Maybe these young men are at early 20s.
Okay.
They know they have a call, but maybe because of the system, they have not been processed, or they've been rejected from the church, or sometimes when you're young, you're on fire. You can be a little bit prideful, a little bit rebellious, And so they'll find these young men. They'll reach out to them. They'll say, "Hey, I want to mentor you."
Okay.
So I had one of those guys come to me. He said, "I was mentored by this guy." You know what the guy told him to do? He said, "Take some alligator pepper and plant it into the ground."
Uh-oh.
When you plant it in the ground, a spirit will come. And when that spirit appears, that's the spirit that will be communicating with you and telling you things.
Seriously?
Yes. So, and what they'll do is that you may be near these false prophets and you won't even know they're false. You'll think that maybe they're persecuted, especially if you can't really dissect their doctrine. Right? You'll think that maybe they're just persecuted. Nothing. I'm around him. He's a good man. It's only if they see that you are either maybe have a lot of ambition, or if you're more susceptible to them. That's when they'll draw you in.
To the mentor.
Yeah. So I know one here who was they were actually, as a ministry couple, young. I don't think they're in the 30s yet, and they were under another apostle that I know very well, a sincere man. They left this apostle to be under this false prophet. I recently learned that they have a shrine in their house.
Seriously? Here in America?
Yeah. And they were born and raised in America.
Wow.
They have a shrine with candles and money on it. And so because they were telling another young man that, this is how we make our money. So it's rampant here in the US. And so the young ones that are very gifted, they know especially prophetic. They're looking for these mentors, but they can't discern. They don't know how to accurately discern whether someone is true or whether they're false. They can't. One of the things in discerning is don't just look at the power that's being demonstrated. The Bible talks about how the Lord approved of Jesus Christ of Nazareth with signs and wonders. The purpose of the signs and wonders was that there was a message.
Okay.
Right. And so when you're looking at someone who's demonstrating power, that's only the first thing. You say, okay, this is good, they demonstrate power. But you say, the purpose that power is given to an individual, the only reason the Spirit will give someone power is because that person has chosen to be the conduits through which they communicate the will, the doctrine, and the desire, and spread the message of that Spirit. Yes, and so it's the same with God. When He gives the power He gives us is so that we can preach the gospel.
The gospel, that's true. That's true.
So we preach.
That's true.
And so when we see a genuine movement, you say, okay, what's the message? Unfortunately, many believers, they don't get there.
Okay.
They stop at that power part. And when they stop at that power part, that's when it's like they plug their ears to whatever the message is. As long as the power is there, as long as they're seeing some kind of manifestation there, you can preach nonsense. They won't even care.
They won't even care.
They won't be listening. It's like they're bewitched. It's really, that's what it is. You know, the Bible talks about Simon the sorcerer. Is that he bewitched the town to believe that he was a great man. And so that's what you have to take into consideration. What is the message? What is the message? So when we're dealing with a few things with message, a few things stand out. A good example. There was one who was a false prophet. It just came out recently. He was exposed in the U.S. here. Very popular guy. Exposed. And they came out, another guy came and exposed him, that he took him to Ghana, you know, that he was working with dwarf spirits.
Okay, I've heard that. What's the name of that? Those two people.
Yeah, there's
I can't remember their name.
Lovey and
Love. Yes.
He took him, but even you have to ask, how do you even? What drew you to him to begin with? That's the question. Because even before anything came out about Lovey, I knew the guy was false.
I knew too. Yes, I saw some of his this.
Sometimes I just look at his pictures. You know, these days you can't really tell. You look at the picture. I said, is this guy a model or is he a prophet? He's wearing silk robe. Yeah. And then if you look at the comments in the pictures, all the women are doing hard eye. As a man of God, you won't even feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
Presenting yourself that way.
That way, that's true.
So that in itself is a message. You understand? So when you see him demonstrating power, and then you see that other side where it's like there's some indiscretion there, but it's not like someone just falling. It's like there's a lifestyle which is there.
Yeah.
You see,
something is not right.
Also, you look at the way some of these guys, especially here, over flashy. If you see their suit, Gucci head to toe, you actually, what are they trying to
show? Yeah. Why are they packaging?
You know what it is? They're drawing people by their lusts. So some of them is because so the ones here, they know how to package themselves very well. He has the dreads and dresses a certain way because he knows that that's, if people look at, that's the first thing they'll see. And if you're wearing something Gucci, they'll say, oh, look at that man of God. He has money. And so if mammon is your God, then you'll be enticed. To them. So they present themselves. That's the message. Right? That's the message as well. And so, of course, also the message that they actually teach. Right? You won't hear about consecration. You won't hear about holiness. I think the guy even said that one time he preached against sin, and he called him. He said, we don't preach against sin.
Seriously?
Yeah, he called him. He said, no, we don't preach against that. You're going to be judged by that. Don't preach against that. He said, okay, bro. Yeah. Can you imagine? So you listen to the messages, and they may not be saying outright, but it's
they will hide it. Little
by little, until now they become bold because they know that no matter what they do, that no one, as long as they're making money, that's all they care. There's one that came out recently. You know what he said? He said, I train my spirit the way I train my spirit before a message. I'm praying in tongues. I'm not praying in tongues listening to worship. You know what he said? He said, I'm praying in tongues watching porn. He said, because I need to train myself to be able to hear God regardless of what is around me. That's what he's discipling his people. Yeah.
So he's encouraging them to do that.
Yeah. That's how they'll draw you and begin to break down your convictions and consecrations little by little. But that kind of conversation you probably already had with them long ago in the secret. Now you're just coming open.
With it.
If they see you're hungry,
they know what to give to you.
They'll know what to give to you.
Viewers, can you see that? If they see you are hungry, they know what to give to you. When you go to church, what actually are you looking for? Are you looking for the Jesus of the cross, or are you looking for materialism? Because it is whatever you are looking for in the church that you will get from the church.
Tune in to the Supernatural Encounter. Subscribe now and step into the unknown.
Supernatural encounter, don't delay. Feel the vibe, let it guide your way. Tonight's the night, let the mystery play.
Let's dive in to the Supernatural Encounter.